So we will call this meeting to order at what, 6:31? Wow, you really hooked it, girl.
I did.
All right, so first on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve the Ulster Park and Rec Commission meeting minutes of May 14th, 2025.
We have a motion by Jim to accept the new minutes. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, we have a second from Star. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
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 Any nays? These are nays. Well, that was tough. Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Next on the list is recognition of guests. So I see we have some guests. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to go around the room and have you give me your name. Ken will start on the side. Tyler,
Mike,
Mike,
Zach, we're with Little League.
Little League, and there's someone behind you we can talk to.
Max.
And,
David.
and
Oh,
I have someone behind you. There we go.
Jessica with, Harvey Speech.
Okay,
Jamie Lamarco, Harvey Speech Check,
okay,
and Katie, and just hear about some general business.
okay. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. And any correspondence?
Yes, I have one. I've talked about this person in the past. His name is Bill Gagnon. He, gentleman in town who's been collecting bottles, and cans to recycle and gives them back to, for donations to the library. And has been coming to collect the cans out of the teen center here since we opened in 2004. And to date, he's collected, 15, just likes to give updates. He's collected $15,900 from since 2004 and presented it to assist students in the library. And he just has a little handwritten note that he sends. Bill's great. He comes here every day to walk. It's been a great help to clean up the cans and everything else, but then make some money for something else in town. Which is great.
I thank Bill for his service. I appreciate him very much. Besides being a good old guy, he's very friendly and knowledgeable of the town. If you ever get a chance to stop and talk for him, talk your ear off, but he knows a lot. Did you with the bills?
The bills are a little bit different this month. I broke them out into our 4 different buckets as you guys requested last month. So you can kind of see where they are. The first one is our main budget, 301. Now it's gonna be tough to see anything in 301 because all the salaries are taken out of there, so we'll certainly include that in this, but so the numbers aren't gonna really match up, because it's a lot, but you can see the other budgets as we go forward.
This is really more meaningful things, right?
You're welcome.
Anyone have any questions on these or? Hearing none, we'll move along to public comments. So. First on the list is, this is your time to speak.
Okay, wonderful. My name's Katie. I live off of Schoolhouse Road, Beaver Dam Trail. And I just wanted to come and to start getting involved in the community. I use a lot of the Parks and Rec services and really glad to be here. Two big things was I was just curious about I know I read the development plan for Clark Park. I know there's a phase 1, phase 2. Just curious where that is in the mix. And also just wanted to talk about the potential of some kind of recreation trail on Schoolhouse. I know I'm one of many people who walk that road. I'm actually one of 3 families here in such a small group who live on that road. And I think especially with the development of the park, to connect the park safely to the rest of town is really important. And I know it's kind of more of a scenic road, so maybe something like a greenway trail, like a paved trail that kind of uses some of that really large border along Schoolhouse instead of a formal sidewalk. So just kind of getting that idea going and hearing some feedback and what it would take to maybe move forward with that.
Thank you. As far as the development of schoolhouse, we have done a lot on that strategic plan. And I think, Ray, you have some, cut
So
down.
we're in the concept phases of the plan right now. We had a concept done, we may be changing that concept tonight. So if all goes to fruition, there's still several steps that need to go forward before any of this gets to the meat and potatoes, of actually ripping it up and going forward.
Yeah.
A would be funding, that's number one, but really just getting this concept down and then going from there and getting the actual price out, so we can actually get out to bid, so we know what we're doing. So I would say at this point in time, if the concept was decided on today and we move forward on it, I would say at least another 6 months before we get all the materials lists, before we can go out to any sort of bid, and then kind of knowing what we need to secure for funding after that is really important.
Yeah, and I know it's a big plan, but I was just curious. The playground is still a pretty big focus on that plan. Okay, awesome.
And it's been discussed about how to connect. So town park to the rest of the
Yeah.
town safely for kids and biking.
You know, there's so many communities, like I feel like Schoolhouse is truly the neighborhood section of Old Saybrook, and there's so many families and young kids, and just a way for them to safely get to school, to bike to the high school, to access Main Street, this feels really important as our kids develop in this world full of technology, how to get them. Oh,
And also the opposite. So I live
Yeah.
in town and my kids want to go spend time in the woods.
yeah, for
How do you get
sure.
them to the preserve safety?
Right, and especially for spending all this money developing the park, I mean, how are we gonna get people there, so.
Thank you. We're going counterclockwise now, besides these, some people from the Fenwick, is it Fenwick, or, Harvey's.
They're on the agenda.
You're on the agenda, all right, thank you. Oh, there it is, I should read, I'm sorry. Good lord. How embarrassing, all right, apologize, so we'll go this way, you're on the agenda too?
Well, we're gonna discuss them under.
Okay. Wow, you're making my job very easy, Beth, thank you. All right, going on then to new business, Harvey's Beach vendor discussion.
All right, so a few months ago, obviously, you guys voted on a vendor to work the beach this summer. That particular vendor came to me, and after you guys had signed off on her and said she'd like to sell her truck. So she sold her truck to Jess, and to a new,
Just an.
okay, thank you. But with the same concept, it's the exact same thing, it's the exact same footprint, exact same food choices, it's just a different name. So I wanted to bring them here to make it official with you guys. I don't know if you wanted to re-vote on it or how you want to handle it, but for me, it's just really the same stuff, it's just a different name. It's just unfortunate that she wanted to get out of it, and these are the people that were willing to buy from her and be there, so. I don't know, for me, there's no issue with it really, truthfully, so. And they've handed out some food to our parking tents already, and they really seem to enjoy it.
I think we would have to make a motion to accept, this business in place of the motion that we
Yeah.
had already passed.
And by the way, all the proper paperwork, she has all that. It's
Thank
all-
you for that,
Yeah.
very nice. I just, kind of reached through that, thank you.
Like the search safe or what kind of?
So it's the exact same things we asked for in the application is
Yeah.
what she duplicated. She has all that stuff,
Is it,
everything that's needed.
is it the same, concession vending?
Yeah, with some improvements, we have updated refrigeration and freezer units and a few of other equipment upgrades have been done to the truck and but it's the same apparatus.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Sandbar Grill LLC as the 2025 food vendor at Harvey Beach.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to accept Sandbar Bill LLC. Is there a second? I'll second. Have a second. Under discussion. I have a question. You do realize that this, concession apparatus does have to be removed in the fall?
And I just want to be sure, I know when we were making the decision, a huge part of the decision was the menu. Feeling like the town, kind of loves and expects this type of menu, and that's why we chose this truck over the other truck. So,
The
so
menu
that's
and the
very,
recipes are exactly the same.
I'm sorry, the
The
what?
the menu and the recipes are the exact same.
And the recipes, okay.
Yeah.
Driving to, you're
Yeah.
driving to Maine, getting all the lobster shut down. It's a really good story from them.
We kept all the same vendors, we kept the same employees, so there's 2 high school girls that we promised to buy and them employed.
Right.
So we keep the 2 college girls employed, and we kept all the same vendors, and we kept all the same food reviews, that was part of the,
Yeah, we really didn't want the community to see any lapse in time, so we didn't find any desire to challenge anything that's on there, and honestly, being that we have families in town and go there, the menu really seemed to work for us personally and a lot of our friends, so we didn't see any need to. It's awesome.
Anyone else with any questions? No? All in favor of accepting Sandbar Grill LLC as the venue for Harvest Feast, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? No, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Congrats.
Thanks, ladies.
Approval of the Little League.
I need to come over. Thank you.
We thank you. Enjoy everything outside. All right, moving along, we have information on the steep grant.
So as you guys know by now, we did receive a steep grant for Ferry Road in the amount of $670 some odd $1,000, which is awesome. So, we will be going out to bid on that project in the beginning of fall. And then from there, depending on when the vendor gets picked, they can either start in the immediate fall or it'll be in the springtime. All depends on when they think they can get the work done.
There's no time constraint to it.
You have 2 years to fulfill the grant, so we want to get it done well before that.
Yeah.
Plus, we have to wait for the money from the state to come in, which is, when we did the last steep grant, it took like 8 months. So hopefully it's a little faster. So that's a really good thing. And once we get that going, if, best case scenario, if we start early fall and they get it done by spring, then we could use it again in the fall. So.
Does, like, was anybody counting on playing on that field this fall, or?
This fall will be fine,
Okay,
unless, I'll push the best case scenario, they wouldn't start till the end of October. Regardless, so,
digging it up.
yeah, which is the end of the season, I think, so.
Okay,
They don't anticipate it being an issue, and if it is, then I don't think the soccer club would mind moving, because they're gonna be getting it's gonna be getting a much nicer field, so.
$600,000 nicer.
And that's like section one.
What are the details on that field? I mean, I know we're doing drainage, you're gonna.
Yep, so it'll be drainage, we're gonna have a scoreboard, we're gonna improve the parking lot, there'll be a bathroom there, there'll be some shade structures, there'll be bleachers, things like that, so. A lot more improvements, for the whole field in general. And the drainage is really important. part.
Yeah, that's.
So,
Any other questions?
Who did, Jacobson do the design on that? Did it? You had that file?
I gave it to you guys a few months ago, but I'll resend it out.
I'll access it if you suggest it.
Yeah, we sent it out. It's the February meeting, we'll apply for this week's day, yeah.
A lot of fun. I know you do.
There you go.
They'll kind of blend in.
Anybody else? Anybody questions? No? All right, moving along, Rotary Club Peace.
All right, so-
Discussion.
In the last meeting, we approved where the peace pole is gonna go, and we had some questions as a commission as to what. It looked like some of the questions we needed, and then they emailed me back, said we had to buy it. I thought you guys were buying it, so in your packet is their peace pole proposal. They are gonna, after I met with them, they wanted to be here tonight, they just couldn't make it. But they are gonna buy the pole, we just need to give them what it looks like. Okay, so
What we wanted to.
what we want it to look like, correct? And what languages we wanted to put on. So the last one that they did, they had English, Chinese, Portuguese, and Spanish. Were the 4 languages that they put on the book. Those don't have to be the 4 languages. But whatever the language is about. So that's one important decision that needs to be made, right? And the other one was the color. I think we decided on white, if I recall correctly, right?
No.
I thought,
White, was it wood or white? I couldn't remember which W we were doing.
Yeah.
It was wood. Okay.
Yeah, I think we were going to do
Stand
like
out.
pickling stain, so that was kind of white.
And why, did they say why they suggested those languages?
That's the last one that they put up at those languages.
And we don't know why.
You know, that was
Not
almost like,
positive, but I thought we
Right.
were gonna do some research as to
Yeah.
kind of what languages were gonna be
I-
prevalent. So
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
problem, if you look at it, they need to get this in the next week or so.
I knew we were,
No, to order it for their grant.
um. The school system probably would be able to give us some feedback on what languages are the most, you know, for the families with kids.
yeah, this, that was one thing I didn't talk to, the superintendent about. This slipped my mind, the languages. I did have a conversation with the superintendent and, I didn't call him back and get you that answer, but English, Spanish. They do have, Chinese, but that you would have to designate Mandarin, I think. And then Ukraine was, a population here, but I have to go and ask him how much.
I'm pretty sure it's Spanish and Portuguese, and I think it's a close, it might even be more Portuguese than Spanish in that Saybrook.
All right.
I'm not sure. I know, yeah, English, Spanish, Portuguese, and then another one.
Yeah, it might, I think it's a toss between Chinese and Ukraine, but I can ask.
And you
That's
have
the
to
one-
have four, it's four.
Yeah, four.
Just saying is four
Of
sides.
course, so you don't-
If it's square.
Right, that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
can it be, we can.
We're
More round.
beach and it's right there, kind of like a pylon.
Well, like six.
Well, it'll be round.
Drown.
So maybe three.
Yeah, so we're not defined by four languages.
So they can get around.
Remember round.
I
Yeah,
don't remember brown being an option. For what they were buying from, I don't think that was an option.
It might be hard to engrave or, you know, like, if it's round, I don't
Yeah,
know,
it's definitely.
you know, never mind.
Susan, did you mention in an earlier meeting that high school was gonna put up I shouldn't say somewhere, but a peace pole on their property as well?
not me, but they had mentioned that they were.
Oh, that's
doing
right,
one
the
on that.
presenter did, okay.
But if you want, I can email everyone, after I contact the superintendent to find out what the four most prominent languages are.
Then we can
Yeah,
answer
I
that
think that's
question.
important.
Yeah.
That probably will come up. Why did you pick those four
Yeah.
languages?
Well,
Because
definitely a wood grain.
they had an answer.
That's what we all talked about, right?
Yeah,
I was-
we did, and I didn't want it natural because I thought it would be too dark. But if we, the term is like tickling stain,
Well, it's something that we can also say ourselves.
And
Yeah.
then blend in.
and it keeps it nice and light and,
Yeah, white would be, that was pretty impressive.
White,
I remember
Like
like.
about Alan's getting shade there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Who's
Oh,
gonna clean
so-
that? Someone's gonna clean that.
I'll email you and everyone else on the commission if I can get a hold of
Right
it.
now, look better than.
Quarter deck, quarter deck.
Don't do it like one thing.
No, I was gonna do it tomorrow morning, actually.
Oh,
Monday might be important.
Well, school's beginning to get out next week, so,
yeah, either tomorrow or two.
yeah. No, I think tomorrow, as soon as the office opens, I'll set my watch.
And you might even be able to, why don't you call Trent Gerbers? I think that might
That's
be,
what,
oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no, Jane is on the same, I just won't talk to the superintendent, but there's someone in the office that can answer the question. Yeah,
Okay,
It makes more sense.
that's all. we need to have that.
okay,
I just don't want to miss a deadline.
no.
Now
I'll take Chinese to not miss a deadline.
And just for the record, I'll even let Jerry know. Thank you, Jerry. I sometimes do delete, drop you off my list, I apologize. All right, going on to other, business regarding programs and facilities.
I have no other new business.
I know of one commissioner who would like to speak on, an idea you have.
Yes, do you want to address the strategic plan first, though, because I guess one, or do you want to? Well, I actually want to.
That's under old business, so. No, this is the place for you, so please take the floor.
I just wanted to follow up on a local mom reached out to me that her children are able to come to Park and Rec camp because they basically use it. And a lot of parents were surprised that there's no sort of nurse on staff. I reached out to Ray and he thought that it'd be around $15,000 to employ one, and I wondered if that is possible. Not for this, obviously, but why couldn't we have so much?
We certainly can. 15 was just a number. I don't even know if that's an exact number.
I talked to a local mom who is also a nurse, and she said the average she thought trying to get school nurse salaries about $34 an hour, which I think would work out to roughly $10 a week.
What are you basing that number on?
It was a total salary of like $11,000 for the summer, broken down into 9 weeks.
It's a lot of work, 130.
She said it was.
It could be less, but I mean, it's certainly something we can look into, but it's also there's a lot of other questions I have. Are they going on trips? Are they going wherever we go? Are they just here? Are they here 9 to 4? I mean,
Well, I think we had a year to work that.
true. I mean, certainly something we can discuss. I just don't know where to really approach that. I'd like to talk to some other towns and see where they come up with it, if they come up with it.
So what, the one in town, YMCS, I know it's different.
The Y is
They do
different,
have,
yeah.
There's on staff, but they charge $300.
Correct.
So
So-
it'll still be well under that.
And part of our charge is make sure that all children get an opportunity. That's one thing, which is, you said there's 2 people that can't, so we want to try to include them, which is great. And we also try to make it as cheap as possible. If you know our programs, you've seen them, so. To include them and to raise the prices. It is a different option that we're looking for. Is this specialty for these 2 particular kids? They
Well,
need
these
beds
were the ones I
administered?
but then actually I talked to a lot of other parents and they were honestly surprised. They just take for granted that there's a nurse or someone trained.
Oh, they're all trained. Everyone's trained in CPR and first aid. Every staff.
But at a higher level, no. But just a
Higher
nurse,
level is
and there,
CPR and first aid, it's the same.
Yeah.
okay, but could you give insulin?
We could if we want, we're allowed to give EpiPens. We have EpiPen training.
So then you
So
could function as a school nurse, so these kids could come.
EpiPen's a little different than for
Yeah,
sure.
no,
We-
Insulin.
Different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
But every med that children, there's other kids that bring meds to camp, they self-administer. Right, we have to lock those meds in a box. They're actually locked in 2 boxes. And they come in the office at certain times and we watch them self-administer. And parents know that and they, so that's our requirement as a state requirement, since it's not an accredited camp. All municipalities are not accredited camps.
Right.
This happens in every municipality.
But does it have to?
Does it have to?
Like
Yeah.
for $10, say if you increased, every mother I talked to was like, if we increased camp by $20 a week. To have a nurse, everyone thought that was fantastic. Like, not one person said. We shouldn't have a nurse for $10, you know?
But if that's the actual cost,
Right,
that's
but even
great.
on your, when I broke down your numbers, it was like $15 an hour. And couldn't we actually just add that into the budget?
When you add that, you say that's nothing, but when a camper signs up for 9 weeks, that's $90 extra, or $115 extra.
But to have a nurse on staff, I as a parent would be so much more comfortable knowing there's a nurse on staff.
I agree with that. Don't get me wrong, I agree with that, but camp is very difficult. You don't see all the people that I have that we actually give scholarships to right now. There are people that pay for the summer. And to add an extra $150 if they have 1 kid to $300 if they have 2 kids, maybe $450 if they have 4 kids for the summer.
What is that percentage wise, that $10 to? How much is it a week?
It's 100 and
Well, it's 10.
40,
40.
40,
Or no,
6%.
30.
For the little guys.
Yeah, 6%.
I mean, how often would you say that, no, that skill set is needed? All right, so they're, and infrequently are there.
Very frequently, or parents,
Alerted.
I mean, I can't tell you in the last 23 years, I've been the parents who asked for something like that.
We have a very responsive police department and department.
Ambulance, yes. No, no.
One
Ambulance is
advantage,
great.
but-
Yeah, I mean.
But then it's
They're
fair that
volunteer.
kids.
no,
I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's the bigger
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
that's
I think that's the bigger question. And,
It's,
you know, I'm on the board at, Valley Shore Y as well, and, that camp, because they're at a different level, has to take kids that have all different types of, situations where they need more, I don't wanna speak out of context, because it's, I don't know all the regulations that are involved, but, you know, kids that probably have a para at school, that have kind of like a para at camp. And, you know, it's another tier of responsibility. And I think camps like Valley Shore Y, camps are great for those, are a great option. And it's, you know, it's not here, and it might not be with, you know, all these friends here, but it's with kids just a little, you know, on the other side of, Schoolhouse Road. So there are a lot of the people that they run, you know, I would think they would know some of the kids at those camps. In other words, I'm saying there is another option.
But it costs us a month.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is more. It definitely costs a lot more because, and it's a different camp. They do different things. Lots of fun and I've sent my kids to both this camp and the Valley Shore Y camp. So, and I was my kids were in camp all summer when I was working. So, I had a whole spreadsheet of what all the camps were. What I think we should look into it. Okay, I do think we should look into how it would affect and get some really hard numbers. Figure out, okay, well, that's, you know, another person on the payroll here, that's another person, you know. Are we opening, you know, what does that open us up in terms of what types of situations and, you know, kids with different needs to come to the camp? And does that create other things that we have, other levels of infrastructure and offerings that we would have and require, you know, other.
Yeah, there's a more significant cost benefit that we have to.
Yeah, but I do think it would be a great thing to look into. I think it's a good thing to do our due diligence on it. And if, I would love to see, I have a huge affinity for our camp and what it offers kids during the summer. And I'd like as many kids to be able to take advantage of it as possible.
I agree with Jane on. I think this should be a subcommittee, because I think it's gonna take a lot of research to get to where we need to weigh. Does the use of the nurse and the number of people who haven't been in our programs, come to our programs, does it pay for itself? And is there another avenue of where we might get a grant for such a thing? But I certainly think you opened up a very valuable door that we should look into.
And I think
And I
somebody
think it
else,
should be a subcommittee that we can get more reports on, and you can say, wow, I just had to look into more things going on and on. And I don't want to stick you out there alone, by yourself, so I'm gonna ask some of the commissioners here, do you want to work with a subcommittee looking into this, or should we?
I could throw my, you know, I'd be happy to work on that with you and see if we could have some advice from Valley Shore Y,
Yeah.
you know, to see, it was kind of eye-opening last year when I heard all that went into running the camp and the costs that were associated with the way that we had to change things.
So I think I think we should have
Much
a
higher.
subcommittee and look into it. I know my own experience having volunteered at the school, and I'll recognize you this one. I'm in the nurse's office, and the calls to the nurse for just diabetes. Just, other medication that they have to take. I was floored by how many, it was a revolving door, student after student after student.
And I think it could alleviate some pressure from your other staff who are assisting kids get into their medication. If there's a nurse here, that is the result. They put Band-Aids on, you can, if kids get too hot, they can see the nurse, do medication, like it's not just strict medication. It's just another adult.
So are we consensus here that the 2000 subcommittee will kind of look into this? I don't think we're
I
gonna
guess
have any.
Do you want me to make I can make a motion that we make?
Do we have that? I don't think we have that.
I don't know.
I know, I'm looking around, I told you. I walked around town like 5 miles today because my car is not working again. So I think we should do that, but I'm gonna recognize you.
I think they're looking more like a paramedic. And a nurse, a paramedic is trying to go for some guys could be more there. We went to some actually. So I think they're looking for, they're better trained.
Could they
Well,
distribute
for-
medication?
Sure.
That for
Yeah.
instance,
I don't
They're
know.
trained to do that. They- areas and a nurse sometimes isn't trained at that level.
You have to make sure.
Yeah,
that
there are
is all
different
on
levels.
apps. Incredible, like it's to help
Oh,
small children
yeah.
do the actual.
So I think it's great. I don't think we need, I just think as chairman, I'll designate that this will be a subcommittee and we have 2 people, you, anybody else? All right,
Nancy might be up for it. You wanna
I'll,
email?
I'll let Nancy know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's not even done.
that's right, you know.
Anybody got another committee?
Anyone have?
So, and then you don't have to necessarily report back next month, but why don't we, I know next month is what, July, so why don't we say we are.
Let's do
There's no
Yeah,
doubt that
I
there's a
think so, Jack.
benefit for those kids that feel kind of isolated, that can't participate.
I think
Some of the
it's
things the
all
other kids, and also the parents who are probably exhausted from overseeing that. It's nice to allow them to get some breathing room and get their kids into a camp. And
And not have to
Have that-
sacrifice as much as other families.
right, for a small increase of it's 6%, and everybody, as long as we find that's tenable, I don't see that.
And can that be in a budget presented to the town? Like, do we have to have campers specifically for?
All the money for it goes into an all budget account, they all have spent.
It'd be good to hear about other communities that have some similar base, not Lions yet, that's the level. That's really not appropriate, so it's like, right, but they could like, you know what I mean, they're not on the same
But
level.
they have the phone.
Right, but it's not like we're like, you know, like raised really, like you're saying, with the finances, that's important.
But it's always
You know,
But to you,
like, that's not fair
a lot
to
of
assume
students
that
that
about
have-
anybody. Like,
They
you
don't
be
have
so careful with that.
Well,
Anyways, I
then
just want to
somehow,
see other towns. I know that, like,
what about if the town could subsidize these children who can't attend our camp to go to a different camp? They
So
are.
that's not gonna go.
Yeah,
But is it fair that these kids should not come to our camp?
Well, I think first, let's get some facts.
I don't think anybody disagrees with
Yeah,
that.
And let's see if we can make
Yeah.
it work. There may be another option out there that we've never even asked the state if they have a possibility of reimbursing towns for such a situation. I mean, that's beyond just my experience here, so. I think there are possibilities there. I just think we have to have some time to look into it. And, you know, I mean, it's gonna be something new, so let's go for it. All right. Okay, I guess we're into old business, all parks with you.
Nothing too new to report on any of the parks really, we stop working.
You say.
I don't have to go over that, sorry.
Stop working,
Especially on weekends.
especially on weekends. We're pretty slow at the beaches, obviously, and pretty darn cold there. We do go full-time, beaches starting tomorrow. See how that goes, obviously, should be fine, but tomorrow, it's gonna be nice. Out there, but it was gonna be Friday, but it moved up. to tomorrow.
What is this? Oh, Max.
School's out on Monday, school's out on Monday, but we're going full-time on Friday, regardless, we're going.
Yeah, he was.
Moving along then to strategic plan.
All right, so in front of you is two plans. Last month, as you know, Little League presented a different plan than our concept three that we had. And Jeff has come up with essentially what Little League has had proposed. Still keeping the full-size softball field, adding an additional softball field that's 200 foot. And keeping certainly our two soccer fields as large as they can get. Now, I think they can get a little larger in that particular photo there, but again, like I've told you in the past, these are just concepts, and we can make fields as big as we need to, but there's certainly some more fall zones. So, yeah, but it doesn't change the playscape area, the pavilion area. The pavilion in the back, doesn't affect disc golf. But if you notice the two here, concept three, which is the original plan with the two yellow marks on it. That's the original plan that you guys wanted to move forward with. It doesn't really affect too much except the tree line that is up in this eastern section over here. Would have to be cut back further to accommodate for the fall zones with the full softball field. And then what's added, the difference is the road area that's currently there now. It's just shown a little bit better. And it's got a little bit closer to the 18th hole at disc golf. Chico.
I'm already confused. Just because it says second, it says softball, does that really mean baseball?
Where are you looking?
No, okay.
The 200 soft.
200 softball, so yeah, so
100 okay, I thought it was said second
it would be
softball.
there would be a dirt infield to start out. Right, you
Okay.
can play baseball on it or softball. Because you can always put a little mound on it, play baseball, like,
Okay, so
you
you
can
don't
do
need to
now-
have grass. on
you don't have
the-
to, so right now, Little League wanted to play baseball at Town Park too, they just need for about, which they
Okay,
have done in the
so
past.
Little League to play their little games.
They're little
They're
games.
very,
They can play softball.
my favorite game.
They can play softball and or baseball there. Now, these fields would not have outfield fencing, but not that we have outfield fencing now, but we could also add portable fencing if we needed to. At any point in time for one of their games if we had to. The soccer fields they would not be quite U12s. Right now, what we put in there for in the fall is 195 foot by 135 foot wide. So we get a little longer, not quite to a full size U12. The 240 divided by 3 is 80 yards, 80 yards long. So U12 needs to be around 95, something like that. It's close, very close.
Wait,
So we're losing, losing.
just
No.
Soccer U12.
It would not quite be a U12, but again, like I said. Soccer fields do not have to be configured like this. Once there's a grass there, we can turn a field however we want to turn it. It doesn't have to be like this. If we wanted to go one field this way, we could do that. That's not
I got you.
really an issue. We do that now in all our fields. Every year we shift them a little bit, get rid of dirt spots, so on and so
Okay.
forth.
What's the
So
lacrosse
you
field
could
size?
have,
Oh, it was 100, a real one is 110.
Shorter than a U12 soccer field.
No, it's longer. Longer.
so they can't play lacrosse on
Um,
these fields.
I'm
if
not
we
positive,
reduce
I'm not positive. We
I
never
think
fielded
lacrosse
it.
would be the focus, but we
Yeah.
do not have
We
a
didn't
lacrosse
ever-
field in town.
And there's
what
plenty
about
of.
Ferry Road? That was-
I don't know. if
It's not-
big enough.
Fair Road's only 5
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah, that's only.
But we
for-
can't bring the soccer field in, so we lose we're not a U12s, and then we lose lacrosse. For both those fields to put in another,
You wouldn't, I don't think lacrosse would be able to play a
Baseball.
game there, put it that way. I don't think lacrosse would be able to play a game,
That's a problem.
that's a big problem.
so that would be certainly an issue.
I mean, the whole point was to try to find a way we can.
Because we
Get
didn't
lacrosse.
have, because we didn't have it,
I mean, I can ask him
and
to
there's
put
already
in,
baseball.
see if it fits in there. He was not asked to do that, by the way, that's why it's like, it was the two soccer fields that were on there originally.
What we always talked about from the original proposals were size was both a soccer and a.
Yeah, so the original on the,
Get more numbers.
on the concept 3, you see they're both U12s, right?
Yeah.
And that we can make a little bit bigger if we needed to, either way.
Right. we
That's
move
all.
them around.
You could turn them or whatever you need to do.
Right.
So I don't know if one could be turned in the outfield of the full softball field. I'd have to ask him that. I don't know if he has. Actually,
But we
The
do
bad
have-
part about that in lacrosse, if you're going north-south, right at the parking lot.
I know. Well, this
Yeah,
one,
taking shots on goal.
this one actually adds a fence. So the new concept, see where the parking is?
Yeah.
That adds a fence.
Yeah, but it
around
would
it.
have to extend that whole way.
No, it goes around the whole field. The fence goes around.
I'm saying if it was,
The fence actually goes around the whole thing.
oh, okay.
So
So.
it would be there. And we could add whatever, we could add netting on each side. But again, I don't know if one would fit. Say a lacrosse field fits this way. I don't know.
I
So we have to, I have to ask him that. I never
You
asked.
got a
him to put
scale?
that in.
Good skill.
And he put 24, but
It'll
he
fit.
put 240 by 104 on that.
And could it go like that? I mean, you know.
So
Yeah,
again, just because those fields are aligned that way, it shows you can put two in there, but.
But
You know,
you
two could
have
go
to-
this way. It all
How
depends.
did you have 12 play there now?
The town park?
The town park.
No.
We don't have any U12
No.
at town park.
No.
What is it there? U10. Really? Okay, well, and we were gonna get two and the cross.
What's Ferry Road gonna be, right?
It's U12.
U12, okay. Did you say that the two field alternative did not have U12 soccer field?
This one, the new one?
Yeah.
That's not U10, that's not U12.
These dimensions are the same for this and the previous
No,
No.
they're a little smaller.
240 by 104?
They're saying they're not U12.
Yeah.
You,
so,
I'm saying that the dimensions are the same between the old and the new.
no,
They're not-
they're a little
The
bit
two
smaller. A little
proposals
bit smaller.
To get,
are small.
They're a little
Get
bit smaller.
this new baseball. No,
we'll say 240 by 104.
no,
We have
no.
questions from the.
They do.
On those yellow dots?
Well, no, he does have a 240 by like 104 in there.
He has it on the new proposal.
No, he has it on the old one.
And the old one. So
He
tiny,
does have it on the old one as well, but those,
that's what I was going by.
So we need to clarify.
yeah,
I don't think those are the right dimensions.
I don't think that's right.
Oh, he may have scaled it down and not changed the
Yeah.
number. Okay, I just-
that's
so that's
what I'm
another thing
saying.
that we need to clarify with Jeff.
And
Yes.
I need, you mentioned too, that we need to cut back the tree line.
Yes.
Okay, by 100 feet, you said?
Well, it's not.
Okay.
100 feet there. It's not 100 feet in there anyway. If you go back in that tree line, there's a gully.
There's
That
the-
goes
And,
back back there.
there's a vernal pool back there, so I don't wanna go,
Vernal
I
pool
don't
goes,
wanna cut the trees.
yeah, vernal pool by the bathroom, so it's not by the, it's not anything where there.
But we don't know how much they additional need to cut.
I don't, it doesn't specify.
So we need to know that as well.
Yeah.
You know, the other big concern is parking. Yeah, if you have two games going on and lacrosse. There's not a
Why would you have two games going on?
So you could not have
Baseball.
baseball and soccer.
Can't have-
baseball
You would
and
not have.
Simultaneous.
You can't have.
Why
It's
couldn't
two
you?
different seasons anyway, but there's no way they play it.
So that's limiting it again.
No, I mean, in the fall, there'd be no baseball going on whatsoever. It'd be soccer. It'd be two soccer games going on, which we do now. Think of it now.
Yeah.
In the spring, we're not gonna play an adult softball game and a kids softball game at the same time. It's just not, wouldn't happen. We're on seasons anyway. Little League is essentially ending tonight. Right, boys?
We'd have,
It's
We're gonna
essentially ending
gather
tonight,
on
Little
this
League.
now.
but we have lacrosse.
Shoreline Championship, so. Then adult softball doesn't start until,
Inviting people. to
Why?
play. Kids would go play on it, it's open and open, how would you shut it down during the game?
what do you mean?
They would still, it's still a park, it's still public. What if someone wanted?
Oh,
to
you're
play a
saying- you're
pickup-
saying if
They
someone-
decided to go play a pickup baseball game there.
Well,
while
They
the game's
can't
going.
do that, well,
I mean,
I don't expect
I think that's,
Hitting balls.
that happens now though.
I'll see you in a
Yeah.
minute.
It happens now. When there's a softball game up there now, adult softball game on Town Park too.
Yeah,
It's a play in Town Park, so.
But lacrosse and Little League.
that's the,
Same time.
that's the,
That's not.
how's that gonna work?
Not.
how is that?
but we wouldn't
The
schedule
lines and stuff, but you have the lines now. For like, if you have, let's say you have it mapped out
Right.
for lacrosse, what does that do to this? Little league,
Is that, that's not
They ever-
not a big deal?
I don't think it messes too many kids up. They're gonna be in the outfield, they're not gonna be concerned about the line.
That's fine.
And is that, new mound area, like all levels of Little League, all age groups would play it? Like what-
Which one you looking at, the 200 softball?
Softball.
It'd be,
It's,
Okay.
It's not a.
That field's there.
That field is there right now.
Yeah.
I just,
Where we'd be losing the field, and that's kind of the issue for us.
this keeps a little league field there and allows Rome to turn a soccer field into a lacrosse field.
We hope.
We hope.
Yeah, that's what
We don't
we're-
know that.
Right.
That's our,
Athletic.
we know. Right.
And also, can you play both conjunctively?
I wouldn't schedule that anyway.
I don't think so. I wouldn't, I mean,
No, that would not ever be scheduled.
On, would you even schedule it the same day, like if Little League was playing in the morning, would you play lacrosse in the afternoon?
That's a possibility, sure. You're gonna maximize any field build that'll go have, but they definitely wouldn't have a lacrosse game at noon and a softball game at 12:15.
Right, that's like.
Question, Sue?
So is,
I do, I'm just waiting for our commissioners that have precedence over the guests.
so as far as the bases go, Rob, we talked about, obviously you can see the 49 along the road there. It's additional 21 in the front. I also wanted to see if we could squeeze a few in the back. Now, I don't know if it's possible, but I want to see if we can get some in the back over here.
Parking,
Yeah, and I don't know if
The back.
but
Why is
you mean over here, next to the picnic, what would have been the picnic area?
this is not the carry back here though.
Where the old bathroom is.
With the old back.
Oh,
is,
Back
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
The
See if we can get
grade is back left. Bathroom.
That means we're gonna.
It's an old.
Building that needs.
Oh, you mean the, on the right
That'd be
side.
coming
towards the-
down, yeah.
towards the lake.
Well, that's-
Should we-
Yeah, well,
We'd have to put barriers.
You know,
Yeah.
I just want to see what it would be possibility though.
Oh, then we'd have to have a road though, right?
So,
There's a
so
road there already.
Right.
Well,
It's
it's
an
an access.
It's an access.
Access for.
we want to find out if we can turn these around to, for lacrosse, right?
Well, let's see, so you.
I think it fit.
Yeah, to see if we can do a used one.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
and then the other one is you want to see if we can add more parking as we go around the corner.
I just wanted to see if
Yeah.
there's a possibility,
All right.
more parking back at the kills.
And that's,
Well,
no.
I don't know. Be careful.
Oh, listen, you always need more parking, we all know
We-
that.
I mean,
And you know, Rob, you're up there with playing disc golf a lot now, and you know,
Between
you
this
guys.
club
You
and dog
guys will
walking.
learn how to take like a bus together, it'd be a lot easier, but you're on 82 cars.
And there was one, I just want to make sure we're clear, there was one other thing you wanted us to look into. Or have Ray look into, what was
The tree line.
The tree line, thank you, I just want to make
is
that,
there any option where you could have lacrosse and Little League going on at the same time?
They're already going to softball, so I'm assuming. But that'd be it.
I,
I don't see that being a possibility.
That's a lot to ask for our park. You know, and I want, I've been dreaming about this stuff forever. But, you know, I think that's a lot to ask for a park. You know, in this kind of size, to try and accommodate two sporting events at the same
I
time.
think you have to cut down a lot of woods on the other side of Crystal Lake to make that happen.
I'm a tree hugger, so that won't happen.
Exactly.
Be honest, I mean, seriously.
I do know that our guest had a question, so do you still have a question for the commission?
Oh, no.
I just don't think you would have baseball and lacrosse going on at the same time. I think they would just be scheduled at different times during that day if they were on the same day.
But also with the dimensions, if you took that bigger field, bigger, but the one in the middle and rotate it closer to the infield of the softball field on an angle, and you play 10U, I don't think either one of those are gonna interfere with each other whatsoever,
We've gotten.
if you played on the same day.
Even up there now, years ago, now the fields kind of run parallel going up and down like the driveway.
Mhm.
Years ago, we had one angled like this, the other one angled like this, and it was completely fine. And they were both the same, so there's a little bit.
You know, if you played these guys maybe 2 kids in the whole game might hit a ball there, but 10, you definitely not.
You use both those fields at the same time now?
These, the fields are, yeah, we do,
Talking
softball,
baseball?
baseball, softball.
Yeah.
So they use both those fields at the same time?
They have
All
all
the-
We're using both those fields, Trask and McMurray, all day, every
Baseball,
day.
yeah,
We have 13 teams.
they did last time.
Susan, did they write a letter asking some minutes, even right to us, people regular?
Yeah, and, actually had talked with the new superintendent. This time of year was super busy.
I just wanted.
So between, the last week of, well, the third week of May and now, we just couldn't get together to really sit down and have a big talk. So when school's out, I'm sure we'll have lots of this.
This isn't, I think we gotta figure it out.
I
Yeah,
think this should, yeah, I think we need to answer those
Yeah,
questions.
and it's,
Yeah.
They're very vital. 'Cause
I
that's
think
the
so.
whole point.
Where does lacrosse practice play now?
Hold line.
They have a full team.
Yes.
Yeah.
they're like.
Old Saybrook.
Ticks, little ticks.
Old Saybrook
They're like,
is, no, it's made up of 5 different towns. So,
I think at one point in time, Old Saybrook made up the majority of the players.
Yeah.
And we were using the whole line field.
there's probably 60+% that are Saybrook.
How many kids are in the program?
It's growing.
I don't know
I don't
that.
know total, but it's been growing for the years.
And it's girls and boys, separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now they practice at Ferry Road. They simply have practices there and they
Yeah.
share soccer.
Well, the girls do, but it's very, very limited, the time that Old Lyme gives at Town Woods. It's very difficult for the coaches schedule practices outside of games. There's just, there's just no facilities. High school doesn't ever allow because they got so many things going on at the high school. In fact, lacrosse gets sorted off for soccer, everything else, so.
okay, I think we have to move along here. Was there any other question? Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll get those answers
Okay,
and I can send them out.
So you're not voting on it today?
I can say,
No, we're not.
I can say I can send them out, but I don't know when I'd get the answers, so I don't know when I give you the answer, I'm gonna send them out, but. I will, certainly get those tonight. Not tonight.
well,
next
I know what
year.
you mean.
You know what I mean?
I do. ASAP, as of yesterday was important,
This is
Okay.
not, by the way, this is not putting us,
behind our schedule.
it's not slowing us down.
Okay,
What about the engineers on it?
Yes, Jay,
What's going on at Town Park with the little,
those are perk
are
tests.
those the perk tests?
Those are the
Okay.
perk tests, yeah.
Yeah, how much longer?
I think you haven't had it for a month.
and what a good rainy month these.
They're gonna have a pretty good estimate.
Certainly are. Okay,
But again, I think if, this was tabled for another month, it's not gonna set us.
Slow us down.
Like,
no, I,
Yeah, they still.
we've gotten, we're really close to this, so we need those details, we're really close.
They were measuring the trees today. The arborist was out there. I saw them. They were in the trees today.
Haven't seen that arborist go around town a lot. Saybrook Point discussion,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
thanks, guys. So, point, how that
I'll be meeting that big.
There's really nothing new to add. I asked Carl if there was any movement on the lease. Said there was nothing yet, so it's really nothing new for me to add on Saybrook Point. The answer there was, but there has not.
They've nailed down no addition to the tennis tonight.
Yes, yeah, I mean. I feel like, I don't know what we're allowed to do as a commission, but, if we wanna move forward, trying to get some answers for the community about what happens if we lose the pavilion and what you know, the things that take place in the pavilion that are really important to the people who use it, and what are some alternatives? How, you know, and I don't know if that's our bailiwick to worry about, if it's, you know, where, I don't know what our responsibility is during this time, but I feel like the community wants more information to feel better about moving forward, or to say absolutely not.
And I think that's a somewhat difficult question to answer, for the simple fact we don't know if we can answer it. But if we had to, you're not gonna, you can't compare apples to apples. You're not gonna have a building on the water. So I think whatever answer you really give, short of having classes in Saybrook Point Inn, I don't think we're gonna have much of a, oh, that's a great option.
Well, I don't know that that's true. I think if, you know, if people want to play bridge, yes, they love playing bridge, because, I mean, who doesn't want to go there and have a beautiful view? But you can play bridge, you know, anywhere else and whatever, you know.
Absolutely.
That's totally fine. You can do yoga any other place. Well, what is that place? What are those places? That isn't option. I think a lot of people are like, well, it's an affordability thing for people to be able to access for parties. People who may not have the means to do Water's Edge, Saybrook Point Inn, they can rent the pavilion very inexpensively and feel like, wow, you know, I get to have this really nice event in my hometown. That's what's gonna be like, well, maybe we'll have a beautiful open air pavilion for you to have that thing. Probably 8 months out of the year.
I think it's risky for us to propose too much,
No,
like now. I
Yeah,
think
I think-
we as a commission, we agree that we support it. And you wrote the letter in support to the board of, then we do to them saying that when we all went to that public hearing meeting and said you know, I think we have to be careful with how much we say.
Well,
I agree, because there's no defined limit
Right.
of what it's
There might
gonna
be
look like,
black and
and
someone
until we
like
know that, we really can't convey what vision we have for that parcel and what it's gonna look like, but there are a lot of questions out there that I feel like people just aren't properly informed, because we've talked about this in executive session for a year now, and we've all thought about it independently, about what it would be for losing that property, what it would be for gaining that property, and the vision we would have for that property. And the concerns that the public has, we've talked about, and we have answers to the majority of the concerns, but that's not out there as public information. And the information that is out there are people trying to save the pavilion, which is admirable, it's great. We're not even losing it here, right? Because it's not defined. But also the information that they have is not 100% correct. And we know the information because we've talked about it. But I think it is opening, and once until we have a defined contract, then we can actually talk about what the vision would be, and then debunk, you know, the false information that's out there.
I think what we did was we were presented a proposal and we accepted the proposal to go before the town. That was our responsibility, because we would be remiss in our responsibility if we did not bring this forward to the town to make a decision. Whatever the town decides, all right, we can go, we will stay our course with the pavilion and do whatever that's necessary to make that work. Or we will go ahead and make the new possible park extension beautiful. But either way, we as a commission will work with that. Now, the question of how do we present that? I'm at a loss here, because I don't think we can take just the side of this is, you have to go with the proposal. Or you have to deny the proposal. I think we have to do just, this is what we are presenting, this is the contract that Carl has when he gets it finalized to give to the town, and this is what we can do. I don't see any other way. Now,
When you say when we can do our vision of what
Yeah,
do with the property.
what we
If
can
it
do with
goes
the
to
property.
Right, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
and yes, I mean, that a lot of people ask for dollars and cents, and yeah, we can put it on, but we know in our strategic plan, there was a certain amount of money involved in that. We can base a lot of our answers on that. Now, did the money dollar go up because so many years have passed? Absolutely, we know that, we're not foolish about that. But, our thing is, if the town wants us to have it, we think it's a good deal. But if the town does not want it, that's okay. We have the pavilion and we've been very good stewards of that business, of that building, and we will continue to.
We just need to properly inform the public what the vision is, what the loss and the gain is.
Well,
What they're voting on.
Yeah, that's not our.
And that's what I'm asking,
Right.
that's my thing, but what's difficult is, it would be nice, whose job is it? To let the town know, because the town's trying to make a decision. Right?
Mhm.
And who's gonna let them know? All right, if we lose the pavilion. What's gonna happen to all the things that used to happen at the pavilion?
Well, they asked Rand out at
Yeah.
the middle school and he answered it. And he was very specific. He said, we absolutely will find places for those programs that we offer. Like he was very clear. And then he also said that we're in talks with an estuary.
Yes.
So I think that was addressed. He addressed it directly. I think it's too, like, I would be very cautious to say that we would say, you can have this place and you can have this place and you can have this place.
It's very hard to
It's not very, it's
I-
just
I-
a board of less than
Yeah.
gig, right? Like we're.
No, but what it is the vision of the park that we
Right.
feel. that-
Well, that's in the strategic plan. It's
Yeah.
been there forever. We could upload that link. We could put a link to
I
the
think-
selectmen's proposal and say this is the proof. Like this is. all we
Started
have.
going right down the road
You
where
know
I
what I
was
mean? Like
headed
that's the,
towards,
this is
yeah.
all we've got right now to work on. I think they're good.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to answer those questions. They're gonna come bombing in, but we don't have to yet.
Well,
But I
before you
mean,
go putting links up though, I think you really sit down with the selectmen and talk.
Right, well, I meant the strategic plan link, which is already out there. We could repopulate, we could reblast.
We probably should do that,
Yeah.
honestly.
I think.
Well,
this is
especially with
awesome.
this that came up and now this is
Yeah.
gonna be a little bit of a pot stirred, right? They want this really badly and they were getting a little, they want it a specific way.
Yeah.
But this strategic plan has been a huge focus of the station, so long.
To what Star is saying, we're not gonna give up on the programs that we offer our citizens now.
And we can say that, we
Right.
could put out that.
But how and where and when they're gonna meet, well, we have to wait until a final decision is made and what would be available, but we'll figure something
Yeah,
out.
because truthfully, the answer to my question anyway. Well, will I find a spot for yoga? Yeah. But we have a yoga instructor. I don't know. Will we be able to change the time? Will we have to change the time? So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say where and when it's
Yeah.
gonna be. But yes, we will find spots for those programs.
Will it be as convenient as what it is now with the beautiful view and everybody loves doing it? Like changes.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't
But,
think.
but, in September, the pavilion could be gone, Right.
It could.
But-
I don't think it is.
Whatever, say
I don't
say
think
we
it
went
is.
to a referendum in August first, just throw a date out.
Which might be, yeah.
It would- And then from there, if it goes, yes, well, let's, exchange properties, then it's 6 months after that anyway. Because we're already booked out 6 months, so
Oh, right,
regardless,
right.
we have 6 months to figure out something worst case.
Plus, John has to go through all the procedures of filling and just in plan and all of
True,
that.
but we would still have to we would take our 6 months and.
Yeah.
See you later. Yeah.
So, all right.
It's tough, it's difficult. I wish I could say, hey, we're going to that place at the same time, but I don't know those, I can't give those
Yeah.
answers.
And
I really hope that when it does come time for the town to vote, that, and once the vote happens, I hope it's a 90% of the population is voting in the
Yeah.
same way.
Like
It would, it would be a bummer if it was 60-40.
that wouldn't be, I mean, honestly, the fight that we had for some of the properties that we got was like 43 to 47, and
For
I mean,
example,
they've been
which
always
one?
close. When we had to do the monument, the Fort Monument property, That was a huge fight in this town. People did not want to spend money for that, even though we've got some state grants for that. Because why do we need it? Well, what's it gonna do?
That was the
Well,
same
I don't
people
know.
sent behind us.
Oh my God. I know I was there. Matter of fact, I was sitting right next to Ella Grasso herself because we were fighting so hard for it. But I mean, that's nature. That's the way small towns act. We don't always have a 60-40 count where it's 70-35 and 5%.
I want 90-10.
Well, Jane,
I know, I'm just,
no,
I'm not
when
looking
you
at you.
persevere
I'm
on
not
things,
looking at
you
you.
probably will get it. But no, I mean, I think to the point that we need to help Ray out is that we have no intention of not giving up programs that we're offering. However, we do need to acquaint our citizens with our strategic plan, with this is what we thought we would do.
Before any of this.
You know,
Yeah.
and then it's up to the Board of Selectmen to sell this. All right, if you ask me, we say this was a darn good proposal, and we would be remiss if we didn't bring it forward. All right, if someone asked me privately, that's my own private thought, but as a commissioner, this is what I'm doing. There is another section of Saybrook discussion that I think we should be talking about, and that is, in our previous months, we were talking about a possible attendant for the parking for our Saybrook Point parks. It seems to be used for 8 and 10 hours at a clip for people who are working elsewhere. And Jim has a hand up, yes, Jim.
No, I was going to make a motion that we either hire or allocate from existing Parks and Recreation staff an attendant for Saybrook Point to support mini golf and the Biggie Deputy Pavilion on weekends and holidays.
Weekends meaning Saturday and Sunday only, or did you want Friday, Saturday and Sunday? only, or-
First of all, that's a great motion, love it. But I'd like you to, say starting July, because this budget cycle looks ends at the end of the month. And that's it.
Agreeing,
I
do we
will
want,
agree with that
do we
amendment.
want just 2-day attendant or a 3-day
I
attendant?
would prefer Friday, Saturday, and Sunday being called weekend, but whatever. it's
Possibly
called.
Monday
Friday,
is
Saturday,
a
Sunday.
holiday because of holidays.
Holidays, yeah.
Mondays on, but yeah.
No,
So now we just worded that, but,
Starting in July of 2025.
okay,
What is?
The attendant
seconded?
is-
Rick? Okay.
I'm not even sure if it's worded correctly yet.
What is the attendance?
You got it, Jerry.
A motion to hire an attendant at the Saybrook Point.
We
You
Park.
want it for, yeah, park, but do you want me to specifically say what the reason is? Is it for mini golf? Is it, what's it not for? What do you want to eliminate?
I have more questions, which you get to.
So, yeah.
Before we,
I'm just trying to take it off so we can have discussion.
I know, but I don't think it's definitive enough.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's just gonna flat out.
We can always revise it later if you guys have more you want to add to it.
add the name of the park, add the.
At
mini golf,
Saybrook
add the
Point
pavilion.
Park
Right.
specifically,
Right.
all right?
That we.
And is this for the parking at Saybrook Point Park, which includes mini golf,
Yes, parking attendant.
parking attendant?
Right,
Okay.
got it.
And are we doing Friday, Saturday and Sunday and holidays?
Yes, including Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and holidays, I have.
And do we have to define the scope of duty?
No.
No, doesn't, for now, you can just say
All right.
that.
Yeah, right, great.
So that motion is on the floor. Sorry, I didn't know what the
time
motion
is.
was. 9. What do you say? 9 to
Hours. Yeah.
What is a parking attendant at
They
the
do
beaches?
Two shifts. And they start at 8 o'clock in the morning, they go to 2 in the afternoon, they only goes from 11 till 5 o'clock. So.
So I can have 2 shifts. 8 to 2 and 11 to 5.
I have questions.
Yeah, well, I know, I can't wait for your question.
And do you really want to do this at this meeting?
No, that's not a question.
No, I am saying.
There's 3 openings. There's no way one person could possibly be able to do a job down there, which you're asking me to do. Besides the parking lot and the entrances in there, regardless of the fact that it's still a one-way entrance, there's still two other ways to get in there.
Yeah, okay.
The other factor is safety. Where is this person going to sit and or stand themselves? We're not gonna put our parking fence in harm's way of people and their vehicles. Third one is, how are they gonna stop these cars from actually going in there? What is there? There is no rhyme, law, or reason for them not to be able to go in there. There's a public park. Whereas at the beaches, we have a mechanism that says you can't go in unless you have a pass, or unless you're a resident or a non-resident has to pay a fee. So there's no mechanism to say they can stop anyone from going into that parking lot. So those are my three questions right after that.
Yeah.
Because it's public parking, right?
No, it is not municipal parking.
Okay,
It is park.
so we can't run. We have the
We
right to
can
run.
public park. We can monitor it. I see James in, yes.
So really the issue is not the public parking per se. It is employees of Saybrook Inc. that are creating that problem. Is that correct?
99% of the profits save appointed employees. The other
And
1% I'd say would be people using,
Yes.
well, gas,
Yes.
but people using boats, like there's a couple charters that go out.
Yeah.
So they'll park in the parking lot early morning, or just charter.
Would they be public? Just so I understand.
Well, no, the
Correct, so
charter,
they're all public.
but the charter is part of the
Yeah.
business of Saybrook Point Inn.
Oh, the charters are low.
For business, no, they just dock their boats.
Then
So the real issue is Saybrook Point, as always, so it's how do we?
That's really the, I think.
How
that's
do we
really the
distinguish that? Because someone could say they're not an employee.
So I'll give you,
Get
like
out
I've
and
said in the
not-
past,
That was my loophole.
Yeah, like how,
so,
yeah.
yeah,
And
so-
I worked here.
Right.
So in the past, I don't know if you, but if everyone knows, but the way Saybrook Point has always treated their employees. On certain days, they're supposed to park in certain spots. They have a A zone, a B zone, and I think a C zone. Monday through Thursday, they were allowed to park in zone A, and I'd have to find the layout. I think I gave this to you guys a couple years ago, but not everyone's on vacation. On weekends, they're supposed to park over in the Dock and Dine property, which technically, it's not even their right to do it, but they were supposed to park there. And then other days they were at a designated spot where the parking lots of the Saybrook Point. And they're supposed to have a sticker on their car if they're a worker at Saybrook Point, and that's how it designated they were supposed to go. I don't think anyone really followed that. For one summer, we tried to follow up with them a lot and it worked out well. Chris Bird is still the general manager down there. Oh yeah, I talk to him all the time, not all the time, but I do talk to him. And I do remind him that they need to park in certain spots. Obviously, they don't, we know they don't, listen, it's a problem, I'm not trying to poo-poo
But there is,
this, it's a
but there is,
problem.
but there's no legal recourse we have to prevent them from parking there. Unless we
Where's-
develop this, let's just say,
We don't have a parking in our parks plan, right? Anyone can park in any of our parks because they are free and open to the public.
unless it's a scenario, let's just throw out there, because I know one of the concerns of the citizens, if we were able to acquire the document project.
Sure.
And we have that access road down, maybe that first part from the mini golf towards the Saybrook Point is public parking. After that, those additional 100 spaces would be permit parking,
It could be, yeah.
resident
But
parking.
right now, we don't require permit parking.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the real issue with having any parking time down there. If I'm from out of town, some guys are like, hey, you can't park here. I'm gonna like, it's public park, I'm gonna park here.
But it will be a deterrent, I think. Having someone in a.
So, but it's a deterrent, like, do you want someone from Essex who just wants to come down here and park and watch the river, and you're gonna tell them, no, they can't, because they're not using the mini golf, or they're not using, the pavilion, so that's.
I think the other thing is, as a possibility, we had in the past, we don't do it right now, but you will notice that at Town Beach, we have this big, long barrier that's not used. And we actually closed the Town Beach off from parking, so people couldn't come in at night and park on the beach. Harvey's Beach had one, I don't know if it's still up.
We actually use Harvey's Beach every night, but we don't Town Beach.
And so there were gates, we could put gates up and stop people from coming in, but I also know that I'm one of those people that like to see the sunlights at night.
Well, that's a good idea, but it defeats the purpose, because no one's going down there to fill up the parking lot from 10 o'clock on.
Yeah.
Right, so the real issue is from noon, we'll call it till 6. The real issue.
That's the open, but all of the sous chefs that come in at 6:30 and pull right into the best available parking in our park, they're there for the next 6 hours.
I mean, some other viable options would be signage, parking, no.
Education is always.
But I hate too many signs in a beautiful area.
I know, but no matter what park you go to, no matter what city, they always tell you have fun. Jane, I saw your hand.
Yeah. I've been trying to stay in. So, is it against the rule for Saybrook Point employees to park there? Yes or no?
Is there signage down there that?
Like, I'm fine with people, if, being down there for whatever reason, as long as they're using, if they're watching the sunset, if they're walking across the causeway, coming back, if they're playing mini golf, if they're taking a jog.
Public parking.
We-
say-
I just had a small sign that said Saybrook Point Park for park. Right,
There's
for
a
parking.
sign in that says parking for park patrons only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pick a point of.
So, I just, I just feel like, that this is something that's gone on, and I think that we're trying to make a solution that I think is really on the part of Old Saybrook Town, or Saybrook Point Inn, to enforce with their employees, and I feel like that's a much easier thing to try and fix. I don't know that we can, but it feels like that's where we should start and say, look, we're gonna tow your, I think we should say, we're going to start towing employees' cars on July 1st. If they're part of there, and we know that that's what I'm trying to say, is there a rule?
Well, there's a
Like-
sign.
We don't have a rule.
Okay.
There's no commission park and rec rule that says you can't park in our parking lots in our parks.
But the sign does say.
Parking for park patrons.
Patrons.
Oh,
Correct.
if
So
you're,
that is posted.
Right, but is that a culpable offense? It doesn't say it is.
Could you put that on the sign and then
I
it would be?
And I think.
I
Here's the thing, like,
yeah,
but I think that's where we need to
I
start.
agree.
Who's gonna call the bluff?
I agree with you, Jane. I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
but there's no, like, he's right, there's no recourse for us to say,
Well,
we're telling you, we're telling you, we're not gonna tell you.
But
We're
maybe
telling you.
if it's as simple as putting a sign,
we told one,
no, but if there's a
we
simple
put
as
a
putting a
sign-
sign,
put a
that
sign
it gives
to
us,
the guy.
it
We
gives
give-
us the ability to tow the vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? Then maybe Saybrook Point will say, we're gonna have to find some offsite, get a shuttle, to shuttle our employees in.
So what happens the day when you tow the guy's car who's off for a walk with his dog?
No, well, we won't.
How do you know which car is which?
That's why, I mean, you have, I'm saying, that's why I keep saying, I'll volunteer to go down there and wait for a chef to come park in the thing. Cause I think it'll take one. I think it'll take one.
You're probably right.
I don't wanna be a jerk. I'd probably even pay to get the guy's thing out of the thing, cause I don't want a sous chef to be stuck having to get his car out. But it will make the point, and it's like, if that can solve the problem. I'd rather, because I think we can talk all day, we can talk about, I mean,
I've gone in and followed.
I think, I believe that you're right. It's not fair to have a parking attendant
I
out
think
there.
first we have
Anyway,
to start with. What kind of sign do we have to put up in order to have that ability?
What about time limit?
Again.
And it's determined though, again, to his point, it's like, it's making people think for a second, okay, someone who's 4-hour time.
Turn,
limit.
but I put, don't bounce your golf ball on the golf course. Who doesn't do that? Right?
Yeah.
Deterrent,
I think we need-
but everyone does.
I think we need to start somewhere, because right now we've done nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
We've had discussions,
And-
it's just,
and-
no.
Okay, maybe we write a really serious letter that's signed by all 7 of us to the guy, Chris Bird, and say, this is, we're gonna have to take this to a different level. We're at, this has created significant problem in our community.
I agree, I think we also.
And
need
we
to take it
start
to the
there.
selectmen.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it's gonna fall back to them.
Sure.
So you might create a problem that is gonna fall directly back to them and they, I won't like it, right? So I think you need to talk to them about. because they
Before
have
we send the
Do we have
letter,
an idea how many spaces?
Use,
You know, that we lose to them.
use the whole first parking lot and at least half the second parking lot on a daily basis.
to,
Whole half.
Yeah.
that part.
to
We
Saybrook
written,
Point.
we written letters every year.
Wait.
That's
I've never signed one. I've never
If
signed
you were
one.
to drive down there tomorrow morning, you take your time, go at 10 o'clock in the morning, you go right to the flagpole, that first lot right there, completely full at 10 o'clock in the morning. Mini golf just opened.
With no one in the.
Mini golf just opened. Tomorrow morning, there's nothing in there until, I'm sorry, there's yoga in there.
So how many spaces is that roughly?
Oh, I'd probably say 30.
30 spaces.
25, but 30.
Wait, and there's how many spaces total then?
108, I wanna say.
So 30% of. the-
Oh, and then you have the ones that are in front of the pavilion from the fishing area where we people
Yeah.
fish, like, there's like 6 spots, 7 spots there, those will be filled up too.
Does the town have an attorney who can advise on how to go about it?
Well, again, well, you make a good point. It's gonna land on Carl's lap, which isn't, you know, his relationship with Saybrook Point and everything else, which.
It is what it is, but yeah, they take up a lot of spots and it is. We all know it's the people that work there, because
Yeah.
we're not even open yet.
Yeah, I just feel, you know, I've said it many times, I would be willing to spend a morning down there, you know, start early and videotape with my phone, okay? There's a guy going in.
If you're gonna be on
There's another guy.
videotape somewhere, Karen.
So, I won't be the
Look at this.
first one.
That's what I would have been trying to do.
I can put the yellow signboard back up, I have probably.
It's the beginning of the season and I'll go in and I'll talk to the general manager again, tell him quite frankly that this is harming. We're going to start to get serious here, but,
Have you had a discussion with Carl on this at all? Has Carl ever been involved in a discussion about this?
yes,
He's
several
involved.
times.
And what's his position?
Yes, yes.
It's not like you can do.
It's a tough one.
He's talked to the owner
He's a very good president.
and,
And I am gonna talk.
I mean, I can't blame the employees parking there because it's still parking and nobody ever told them.
Yeah.
Well, maybe their boss
Well,
told them. They're not taking serious.
many of them know, because I used to be the one that 6:30 in the morning, I would walk from.
We don't know what
Causeway all the way
staff
up.
meeting they have, is that like
Yeah.
number 3 on their agenda or staff meeting, or is that person just got hired and then never went to the
Yeah.
staff meeting, doesn't even know about it?
Exactly, and that
I
happens a
can
lot.
answer that because my daughter lives in Fresh Salt and she started, this is the second summer there. And she said nobody's sitting.
Right.
And she knows,
So-
and I, you know, I was like, I literally asked her, I said, where are you
For
sitting?
us who work there, and I
Yeah.
say, why are you parking there?
Yeah.
And he's
She's
like,
like,
well,
why
we
wouldn't
can.
They did not say anything to her when they
Yeah.
hired her, they did not say anything when they rehired her this summer in Fresh Salt.
Yep.
She's for my benefit, I had to start working there.
I
'cause,
think we
you
should
know,
redo
like-
the signage, I'll
Yeah.
talk to the general manager, and I'll put Jane as our personal,
I don't, reading the signage costs money. I think you should talk.
No, I have the sandwich boards that we used a couple years ago.
Okay,
I
all
have
right,
those.
yeah.
so I just want, because we had this discussion, I just wanna see, you know, where we can go, but we have a motion on the floor technically. Did we ever do a second on this motion?
You're gonna do the motion? No, we didn't do a second.
I'll rescind the motion if, I mean, there seems like a lot of more discussion that needs to go into this and we don't really have a set plan. And just my final comment is I'm sort of in agreement with Jane here because, you know, unless there are some consequences to those actions,
Yeah.
people aren't gonna stop doing it.
No,
Sure.
no.
And, you know, if I was gonna recommend anything, I'd recommend, okay, as Rob said, make sure that we can tow people away. And second of all, maybe we need a parking attendant to say, you know, I chalked, you know, meter maid, I chalked these tires and they've been here for 4 hours and they were here even before the mini golf opened, so take this car out of here.
Well,
You have to give them some kind of
I
power.
agree, and if we do go by way of attendant, we'll have to have an attendant's house. we will do the same safety precautions that we do at the beach and everything else.
Space, because we can't restrict the turn lane coming in, it's like a whole thing.
If I have to take down the pine tree that will make me cry, I will, for the safety of an attendant.
Just be a portable ballet thing, you know,
Yeah.
just move their little ballet.
Well, thank you.
Just like if you're a private party, you know
Charge-
what I mean? Like, podium.
What's wrong?
I'm scratching the motion.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
where do they
okay.
permit that?
I think we just, rescinded the
Permit
motion.
the town at all, the chartering?
But Sue, you're gonna follow up with maybe Carl or
I will follow, I definitely will speak to the general
the
manager.
gentleman.
And then I'll report back.
If you want any help with that, I'd be willing to go with you just to.
Okay. We'll set up a meeting.
And then when, and if and when we get the other property and that goes through or whatever.
Oh, we definitely have
And
to
then we
do
really
something.
have to like
Yes.
work it in for a strategic plan.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be support. Huge.
What's that?
Yeah, huge. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna add those, so, and.
Yeah, we will definitely. Thank you for that healthy discussion, though. I appreciate that. Kayak raft discussion. I didn't do anything there. Yeah, I haven't done anything with that other than just take a look at the kayak rafts, and I still think they're big enough for paddle boards, but I don't know where to put them. Yeah. I'm gonna talk to Bob Murphy of the harbor and see if he had any other ideas. My original one is Harvey's and that next. And then my other one was the lower thing of Founder's Park.
I thought we were pursuing
We are, but we haven't gone any further. Is my report.
that. We don't need to permit anything, to put a kayak rack on that. Not that I know.
We're talking like right at the bottom of the hill there, like.
Yeah, at the
where they
lower
push-
level.
Where they push.
Before the gate or after the gate?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the left there.
I have to get their wings.
Well, how do we do it, the town got, you have to.
they have to have a,
We have
Okay.
nothing to do with that.
that's
No,
hard.
I pay $10 a year or something for a kayak.
Yeah.
Get put on a list
Okay.
to get it to North Cove.
But not the kayak, it's like.
I'll find out if there's any permitting though from. Sound.
I just wanted to talk.
There's not,
There should be.
no, there is
I
Yeah.
don't have a backlog. I don't like
I
the
just,
clothesline.
we need to talk
They-
about Bob Murphy because
Been on-
Absolutely.
Those, I've been on the clothesline list for 10 years, but I'm like number 7.
Really?
And he's been on a long time.
Okay, preserve updates.
It goes up and down, so, but maybe 10 years.
Thank you. I was hoping I didn't miss another meeting. We haven't got the CMC meeting yet. Okay. All right, any other business regarding programs, facilities and personnel?
I have none.
You're done, all right.
Jane does.
No, Jane does.
So I played a little bocce on Memorial Day, that was fun.
Did you win?
I didn't win. Quit. It was taking too long. However, is there a way we can have a bocce set down there so that?
I have two in my office and I did this, I do, just like we have a white marine box at the pavilion for, it's waterproof and we have one at Big Log, which they
Yep.
buy one for over there.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm like that
But
one here.
again,
Yeah.
if you ever want to use, there's 2 sets in my office, you can buy it, time and grab it. Sign them out and license, blood sample.
Open test.
Open test.
They're nice for it.
Yeah. I just have to wait, because they're about,
Huh?
they're a little expensive, those boxes, so I have to wait. To July.
Oh, you do? Okay, all right. Awesome, great.
We usually
Okay.
play at Indian Town, but you get the line, but
Oh,
it's down there. We're doing so.
Good summer. And then are we having a party or no?
Like to, I didn't want to do it tonight because of everything that was going on
Yeah.
here.
it was a little bit-
So it was a little.
Yeah, I don't think we could do it Wednesday.
I don't think we can. I don't think we can. But
That's so fun.
Grand opening for bocce.
You know, put things
With the grass
around.
being-
last month it rained, so we didn't do it.
Yeah.
This month I knew we had that going on and the concert, so I didn't want to have extra things going on.
But we have.
Every Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly. So
I mean, do we just suck it up and just do it? I mean, if we do it at 5:30,
it could have worked tonight, but I also knew we had a little bit of a bigger agenda
Yeah.
too, so. Yeah, it might work next month, but it's also gonna be July 7th.
nice.
Yeah.
We think.
Well, What else has to be done on that phase two? I mean, the grass. is
There
in
was a
now.
few cleanup items that they were supposed to come do this, kind of do a curb cut. That's on the contract.
Do you have any other plantings that's supposed to go in?
There are a few trees, I believe, that were on the plan, but haven't been put in yet.
So
That's
why
a
don't we
little
wait
smart.
until it looks a little more?
There was a couple punch list items that I had to finish up with that.
Yeah, I just, I just think a little more PR. I don't know how busy it's been there, I was there on Memorial Day and there was just a few people, but,
I did the park and rec one.
The class was
There
good,
was some
though.
big,
Yeah,
there were like 25.
yeah, but that was the class.
We had a class
Yeah,
on
now it's
Fridays.
Friday mornings independent.
Yeah,
Class
Oh,
on off.
awesome.
bocce class. We had a bocce class in the spring and there was 20 to 25 people there.
What was the demographic?
I don't know, choose that.
Me and my girlfriend
Like
Andrea,
age is what? Age
uh, 2 40-year-olds, 60 plus. But we had a great time. Everyone was able to do it, have fun, and a bunch of the people, Taryn sent out these emails, and a bunch of the ladies are into. That's what I found out. Oh,
You don't have an established league or?
I didn't start, yeah, no. You want to, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Help out with that.
Yeah.
Bocce league.
OSBL.
OS, PR, yeah.
We need some Italian last names on that.
I think if it was in the evening, you'd probably get against that, but it was Friday morning at 9. So
I mean, I kind of want like 2 leagues on it. I want
Yeah, great time.
retired people out there. Because it's such a great sport.
totally is.
I lived in Lighthouse Point Park, my first house, and there was a bocce court on every corner, and the guys were out there, all the retired guys were out there every morning, and there was probably 6 courts, all in different, and all of them were full. With guys just playing and talking and talking to their paisans and.
We just gotta be, like the fire.
Sure.
Okay, moving along, we might even get out of the chairman's report, I have nothing to report. Nothing else. Yeah. Sorry, I just not gonna do it. There were too many of them. Director's report.
I'm gonna.
Liaison's report. Our gentleman over there in the chair. Anything you'd like to say in our meeting before we go?
No, there's nothing, we don't have a lot of activity. Conservation, maybe just summarizing our fair. Basically. Yeah. Not really. Was quiet. Back.
All right, kind of like that. It's just 8 o'clock. Is there any other subject that our commissioners would like to say? Before I entertain a motion to adjourn? I'll make a motion to adjourn any
No,
seconds.
No. Can you make a motion?
Yes, I
Oh,
can.
I didn't know that.
I rarely do, that's why. I make.
We're done.
Yeah,
And by the
Jane-
way,
Jane,
I'm
you
going to
second?
talk to Steve Pagliatello
Uh-oh.
about Saybrook Point.
Uh-oh.
I'm not, your general manager